Here to talk about everything that happened in Iowa yesterday, we have our panel, MSNBC political analyst David Korn. He's also Washington bureau chief at Mother Jones, Amanda Turkle, senior political reporter and managing editor with the Huffington Post, and Genevieve Wood, senior contributor at the Daily Signal, part of the Heritage Foundation, making her up debut this morning. Welcome to you, Genevieve.
Great to be here.
So much that we could talk about here, but I want to start on that last clip we played. I mean, look, forget Donald Trump himself. We know what he's up to. But that reaction from the crowd to the mention of the name Bush. I mean, I've been seeing polls and saying to myself, I don't think the Republicans are as ready for him as maybe the establishment thinks. That reaction says they don't want this guy.
There are going to be so many divides in the Republican landscape in this primary. We saw two right here. One is between, the people who want Bush, maybe a few establishment types who want Romney, and the grassroots, which don't care. There are a lot of focus groups that have been done already that tell Republicans who are telling the pollsters and consultants, we don't care about Bush. We don't want Bush. That's old. That's in the past. Yet the Republican establishment is in love with him. And then this big debate in which you have Jeb Bush there just saying now, nobody wants to deport all these people. Excuse me, the people in Iowa do.
No, he's poking a stick in their eye, basically, on the eve of their big conference, the Steve King conference, he's saying this.
And he knows what he's doing. I mean, that's not his base, and he has said that you need to pick a candidate who can win the general election, not necessarily the one who can get through the primaries. And so this is Jeb Bush's strategy to appear more moderate than, the Ted Cruz and the rest of the one who went to Steve King's party.
The problem with that statement, I laugh, though, is like you got to get through the primary and win it to get to the general election, right? And it's not the first time he's poked conservatives and people who disagree with him on immigration in the eye. He did this time last year. This is the first time as a conservative, I will tell you, that I've seen the broad base, as excited as they are about a presidential election, and I think it's because for the first time in a very long time there's actually going to be a choice and a debate. Now, it may get down to 1 and 2 candidates, it always does, but I think early on people do want to see these new faces. I mean, if you don't have to go with the folks who've been around forever, and you'd like some fresh blood, they're out there. And they aren't people that are just way over here, way over there. Governor Scott Walker, Governor Kasich, who wasn't there tomorrow, may throw his hat in. So I think there's going to be a lot of really legitimate candidates that people want to give a fresh look to.
Well, that's right. The two most interesting who were there yesterday to me were Walker and Christie, because they both they want to straddle that line where they can be acceptable to the base. They don't want to be poking the bases in the eyes, but at the same time they want to be the establishment candidates. Walker seemed to get a better response than Christie, although I thought the Christie message, there was a lot you could see he was building towards the last 2 years.
But the question is, how much, you mentioned blood before, how much new blood, I'm talking about a different type of blood, how much red meat does the base want? I still think that it's pretty extreme, it's pretty excessive, and it's very nice to hear a governor say, I can govern, but there's an emotional component here, and so when Rick Perry gets up there and thumps the lectern and basically says, let's deport, this is a cultural issue. They're not looking for the problem solver, they're looking for someone to reflect back the intensity they feel about what they think is going wrong with this country, what they don't like about Obama, what they don't like about deportables. And so at the end of the day, I'd be very surprised if a practical-minded governor can come in there, even one who believes in the power of prayer or who is pro-life, and still capture that energy.
But see, this is where I think is Scott Walker, and I'm not endorsing Scott Walker, but where I think he's interesting, because he did take on another group that conservatives are not always pleased with, which is the unions. And a lot of America doesn't think the unions are always in the right. He took them on, he beat them, and he actually has won an election, he's faced a recall. So he's somebody who I think has shown, I'm a tough guy, I'm a conservative, but I'm willing to stand up. I think he's an interesting one.
I mean, personality comes into it at some point here. Does he have the big presidential personality? It's never struck me.
Right. I've gone to Wisconsin a few times and followed him around for the recalls in his elections, and he wasn't what I thought he was going to be. He didn't really get people as fired up. But at the same time, the fact that he has won 3 elections in the last 4 years, that he did become sort of the representing everything that progressive thought was wrong, he does get people excited and interested. He has that sort of Midwestern where he pulls back, but he's also very, very careful. He doesn't make a lot of gaffes like you see Rick Perry and Chris Christie making, which I think is to a benefit, but he also doesn't have that big personality that would get people excited when thousands and thousands of people are watching you.
And the other thing we didn't talk about, while this Iowa thing is on, going on this week, there's another important political gathering of the Koch brothers.
We will be. You're teasing a later segment, but yes.
Please stay tuned.
Yes. And David Kornacki will be part of that segment. But the one other thing that I think is worth mentioning about yesterday, this really struck me, especially after when I thought about it, but lots of Obama bashing. Almost not a single mention of Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton clearly going to be, or very likely to be, the Democratic candidate in 2016. They're not warming up their Hillary attack lines. There's no, it was still the past 6, 7 years.
Well, Obama's made it very clear he's got 2 years left on his election. He intends to fight, and he gave a lot of people a lot of ammunition at State of the Union, so I'm not surprised by that, but I think it will start turning towards Hillary, I think, obviously as a campaign.
And I think, you know, call it Obama opposition or Obama hatred, that is really the core of the Republican base now. So showing that you can bash Obama better than the next guy, and I don't think there were any women at this event.
Carly Fiorina. She actually was the only one who took a shot at Hillary.
Yeah, well, that makes sense in a way. But showing that you can bash Obama better than the next guy or gal is probably a key path in the early primary season.
I'm being told that Sarah Palin was there and has said she might run for president.
She's not.
There's a 1 in a million chance. There's a chance.
Right. Yeah, exactly. 1 in a million. That's the optimistic.